Hey everybody, welcome to Live Coding with Jesse. I'm Jesse. Today we're going to do some work with React, and I'm going to start out the stream by telling you a little bit about my morning so far, just because it was out of the ordinary. So if you notice, I have a tie, which I don't normally have. So I thought that I had a presentation today, and I was going to present this site that we've been working on to all the the vice presidents and the heads of all the departments of the school. And I thought that the meeting was going to be early, like it was going to start at 9 a.m. But I didn't know where it was. So I thought, wow, I need to get up early and get in here early so I can get everything ready. There were still a few more things that I wanted to do to the site before I presented. So I got up at 5:30 a.m. and got on the exercise bike and started making some updates to the site then. And my oldest son was actually up with me, so I ended up only doing a little bit of work in the morning, and then he and I watched YouTube videos for the rest of my workout. But then I got into work at 7:30 a.m., which is pretty early for me. I never get in before 8. And I was working, and it was almost 9 o'clock, and I'm texting my boss like, hey, where's this meeting at? And he finally texts me back and says, oh, it's tomorrow. So, oh well. So the good news is I have more ready than I thought I would before the meeting, and I have more time now to get things ready, so that's cool. I'm going to meet later on today and kind of go over a little bit more about what the people that I'm going to present to are looking for, so I can make sure I give them the right information. But anyway, like I said, it is what it is. I wore the outfit I wanted to wear to look professional today, so I don't know what I'm going to wear tomorrow. But anyway, that I guess. So I've been doing a few things to the site. I'll go over them just really quickly, and then I'll check out the live chat as well before we start. So I guess the most technically challenging thing that I did, and it's still not very challenging, but the most technically challenging thing is that we have different logos now depending on screen width. So we have this more narrow version of the logo, and then it comes out to the full version. So I just did that with the built-in hidden components that Material UI has. So this is in the app bar component. If you want to check it out, everything in GitHub is up to date. So we're all starting at the same point. And I'm going to start up, let me start up ngrok too before I forget, so y'all can check this out as I'm going over it. And I'll put this in the live chat. Oops, I don't have my screen up, sorry. Anyway, let me do this again. So when we go like this, the logo changes. We pop it back out and it goes here. So that's what I did. Sorry about that. And then I changed this section, the background color. I got rid of that purple that we had. That was just kind of for demonstration to make sure it was full width. And let's see. I added in some more cards with an alumni profile and a faculty profile. And somewhere else in the fill space, and then I merged in a pull request from Harshit that fixed some of the errors that we were getting in the I shouldn't say errors, warnings that we were getting, and also fixed some issues we were having with client-side routing that I wasn't even aware of, that we weren't getting the proper behavior with client-side routing because of all the custom stuff we were doing with routing. So if you want to check that out, that's the last pull request that was merged in. There was a lot to it, so if you can go through, I'm not going to go through it all in the stream because it could easily take up, you know, a half hour just going through it all. But I appreciate that. And some of the other things that it did do was Harshit fixed this little hover so we get the correct color, and I'll have to also do the same thing here. So I'm just gonna have to look and see what he did. And let's see, did I fix? I think I changed size and positioning of some things up here. So a lot of little things, nothing huge. Harshit also did some work with the cards to make them look a little nicer. I still want to try. It looks like right now everything just goes to 2 columns, but some of these I think are too big. Like obviously these profiles like are getting just huge, so we might want to see about extending this to 3 columns at some point instead of just 2. But it does look a lot better than it did. There's not as many gaps. Okay. So today, let's see what I was working on. Oh, sorry, I said I was going to check out the live chat first. Let me see what's in the live chat and then we'll get started. Hey, Josh says it's first time. He got the first comment in. It's first time here, so welcome. Thanks for coming. Anna's here. Hey, Anna. Let's see if somebody, God So Loved 24 says, hello all, I'm brand new at coding, just got to the dedication page project for HTML. All right, cool, welcome. If you're just starting out, there may be a lot that we're doing that may be a little bit beyond where you're at, you know, in your learning. So feel free to ask as many questions as you can, and totally understand if you know, maybe you're not there yet and really don't want to watch. That's cool too. I'll do my best to explain as I'm going on. Hey, a lot of other people saying hello. Christopher, you are not too late. The live coding is about to start. Hey. Michael says, the even gooder news is that you can go to dinner tonight and look like an adult. I can't. My son has a karate class, so probably my wife will be there because I don't think I'm going to be home early enough to take him, but I guess I will look all right. Emerson said, at least you're looking good today. Yeah. Let's see. Let's see. Christopher Brown says YouTube video on page is overrated. Try using custom video player. I'm not sure what you mean, Christopher. So let me know. Lawson Ott 3 says, shout out to my nephew Robert. He's a 12-year-old aspiring programmer. All right, awesome, Robert. That's really cool. You're programming and 12 years old. So keep at it, and I'm sure you'll be. If you're not already programming better than me, you probably will be if you keep up the learning. All right. Okay, so that's everything right now that's in the live chat. I'm going to start my my Pomodoro timer, and we're going to do 25 minutes of some coding. Going to be working in React today. After the 25-minute timer goes up, I'm going to take a little break and go back to the live chat, answer any questions that you have. Let's see. Also want to invite everyone, if you happen to be on Instagram, Check out, if you want, check out my Instagram profile. There's a link to it. If you go to my YouTube channel, that's linked in the description, I have my links to all my social networks. Instagram will be on there. I think it's jesse.weigel is my name. But anyway, I put coding stuff on there too. And I also announce when I'm going to stream, and I do on Twitter as well. So if anybody's interested and you like to watch the stream or like the kind of stuff that I'm doing, that's just kind of another place where I put some info. Alright, so let's work on this top. Let me scroll down quickly. Actually, let's do this as well. I was going through and making sure that we have these set to the right sizes. See, because I don't want an image like this to be very small. So let's go back here and change that while I see it and before I forget. There we go. For now, that'll just make it look a little bit nicer. Let's see. Yeah, so we're not really, it's not like this is the finished version of this or anything, but if I do go to show a larger version, you know, on a larger screen tomorrow, then at least there won't be gaps. Alright, so let's look at this section here. So what I'd like to do, and we have been going kind of mobile first with everything, but I know that in my presentation they're probably going to want to see the full screen version. Even if nobody asks, I know my department head at some point is going to say, why don't you show them the full version? So I want to get this cleaned up a bit. I think that we could do without some of the space here, and we could cut down on the space between these just a bit by a few pixels, add more space in here, line this up better. So there's a lot of alignment things that I think we could do. Yeah, we could definitely do some better things with that. And that'll be the first thing that everyone sees. So I'd say that's worth spending the limited time on that we have before tomorrow's presentation. Oh, Christopher Brown did clarify about the video. It says you're using a YouTube video on the website rather than HTML5 video player, which you can create your own styled controls for the video player, which is better than embedded YouTube video. Yeah, we had thought about doing that. It's still possible. We've done that on some other sites. Popping a YouTube video in here was just the easiest way to get something up on the screen to see how it looks. So I'm still open to doing that. The only thing I'm not sure about with the videos is, and this is what I like about YouTube videos, let me know, Christopher, if there's something similar we can do as well with using the HTML5 video. Is for YouTube, it'll automatically scale the video resolution based on, you know, the user and what their connection is capable of. Can I do that somewhat easily with the HTML5 video tag? And, you know, would I need multiple versions of the video? And if I go to switch a video, do I need multiple versions of it every time? Because these videos are going to switch out, and the people who are going to be switching them aren't really going to be video people or coders. So taking into account all of that, is there a way we could use the video tag instead of the YouTube embed to accomplish the same thing and still be as user-friendly? If there is a way, and I just don't know about it, I'd love to know about it, because we could definitely get a nicer UI. I don't like having the big red YouTube button right in the middle here. It's not really part of our color scheme. Let's see. Okay. So let's go in here and check. First of all, let me make this bigger. It's probably hard for everyone to see. I'm going to try to shrink this as small as I can and still keep, you know what, we could probably make this bigger. Let's just pop it up full screen. There we go. I kind of like it here, like really small, and then that way I'll know for sure whether I'm making this too big and it'll overlap anything. So first things first, this logo I think could be a bit bigger, but you know what, maybe we ought to try to shrink this first before we mess with the logo, and then that way we'll know how much space above and below that we're working with. That seems like that maybe that'll be the more sensible way to go about it. Alright, so the first thing I do want to look at are these options, because I think I just put too much padding in here. Where am I even getting the padding at now? That's odd. Maybe this got changed. I thought I had this set up differently at some point. Maybe I was mistaken. Okay. Alright, so let's see what we have here. I definitely think that we can take this padding off of the top. So padding top 0. Oops, you know what, I don't want it off of here. So let's get rid of it on here and just put it on this element. There we go. So that removes a bit of space in here, which is exactly what I wanted, and that looks good. So let's go over to the code now and find where I need to put this style inline for that to work. There we go. And we should be in the app bar component. Oops. Oh, you see, this is where I did the logos. We just used this hidden component. So the logo that's just FUS is hidden on medium and up, and then the logo that is the full Franciscan is hidden on small and down. So it ended up being pretty simple once I remembered that this was an available component. Alright, so here are all our social media icons. So down below that will be the menu that we're trying to change. Okay. App bar menu item. Okay. column to bottom. Let's check out that class. Column to bottom. Display flex. Okay, so that is this display flex center end. Okay, great. So if we put this padding top 0 onto here, then we should be fine. Zero. And since we're just putting a number, an integer in here, we don't need the quotation marks. Alright. Whoops. Oh, yeah. Okay, so we've gotten rid of that style. We just put in DevTools, and you could see, should we? Wait a second. We may need to, let's give it a refresh and just to verify that that style is not working. If we may need to make that an inline style then. Yep. So it looks like our padding top 0 is being overridden by this. So we could put important here, but I don't want to go to important. That should be like the last thing that you try if everything else doesn't work. So since this is coming in a style tag, this style tag evidently is being inserted further down the page than this one. That's why it's overriding this one. So it's also possible that this one is just more specific. So if you see, this just selects the class, but this selects the class, two classes, right? So the class that's the child of this class. So specificity could be an issue here as well. But in any case, we can, without resorting to important, we can definitely make this work if we just make it inline. So let's go back to our code. We'll take this out so we don't need it there. And then we'll go down to our actual component. And I know that this component is huge right now, like this whole entire thing. So eventually this will be refactored and everything will be split out into their own components. So I just don't want anybody to think that we would like to leave a component like this because we won't. But sometimes before things are finalized, it's just easier to work with it in one place. I find if I start to refactor too early, sometimes I'll end up deleting components that I don't need anymore, that I could have saved time and never even made them. So on this grid item, we're going to add a style tag, or style attribute, and we're going to put in double quote, or double brackets, which means we're going to go into JavaScript first, right, with that first bracket, and then the second bracket is, since we're already in JavaScript, the bracket just means it's an object, right? So we're going to pass it a JavaScript object, and it will be padding top. We camel case it, and then whoops, we can put 0, and let's close that out. So now when we save and check out our website, we should see that as an inline style, and it should override whatever else was there. And we can see, let's give it a refresh just to make sure that's not anything left over from what we had. There we go. So here's our padding top that's showing up inline. And that overrides. The only thing now that could possibly override this style is if we were to put important. And that's okay. So since I did it like this, that still leaves that possibility open later on. If I really need to have something apply, then I still have that option of using important. So that's why we don't want to go straight to using important if we don't have to, because then you don't leave any option for yourself or other developers if they would like to, change that then they're really limited. They have to go in and potentially change more than they would like to. All right, but anyway, just a few CSS thoughts from me. So that's a little bit smaller. Okay, I like that. I think that's more reasonable in terms of height. It's probably still a little bit taller than I would like. But we have 2 rows here for our content, so maybe we could shrink this by another few pixels, but I wouldn't go more than that at this point because it will get too jumbled. So I think I'm going to leave that for now as is, and then we can always go back and try to shrink it up more if we need to. So since that's as is here, I do want to, if I can, quickly decrease the space here. I would like to do that, but I need to figure out where we're actually getting that. Let's see. Okay, I was just checking out my timer, seeing how much time I have. So in about 8 minutes, I'm going to go back to the live chat and answer questions. So if you have a question in there right now, just please be patient for a few more minutes, and I will get to your question. Okay. So I'm trying to figure out where this gap is coming in. If you could see the gap that's right here. And maybe I'm missing something, but why? We're not setting the width of this element anywhere. Nowhere here. We don't have any margin. We have no padding set for that side. I mean, we do have text align. Let's see. I'm just checking the chat really quickly to see if anyone sees anything that I don't. All right, I'm just going to start going through some of these and seeing if anything. Okay. Alright, so if we get rid of this display inline block, that definitely has an effect, but it also gives us a lot more space up here as well. And I'm pretty sure that we added this in for a reason, so I'd rather not break something. Could shrink things up a bit if we get rid of that line height. Okay. Umberto is saying, is there an outer container for those using something like Flex? Yeah, I mean, here's our container with Flex, which, let's see, because of the delay, that's why I'm probably seeing it before you're seeing it. Venkataraman. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. I'm trying to sound it out. Anyway, they say, can you check the box model on the LI? Yeah, let's check if we have it here and computed. No. But we did have something, border box. Yeah, I guess it's not going to matter either way. Hey, Nikki, how's it going? This is probably unrelated, but it kind of bothers me that there's no UL for these LIs. I don't know how that happened, but it seems to me that these should all be inside of a UL, right? So, I mean, we could keep the grid here, but I guess we didn't put them inside a UL because we created these @bar menu item components, which I haven't looked at that component for a long time. Yeah, so these are all just LIs. So we really should be putting this in a UL. I'm just kind of wondering, like, would it mess up screen readers and things like that if we didn't have this? And I don't really know the answer to that, but we have kind of more proper use of the HTML tags, and it's not going to hurt. Yeah, it is. Alright, yeah, so that definitely did mess things up. Let's see if we can switch this. There we go. Okay, so if we just move the all this flex stuff down one to our UL, then that helps. All right. So let's do that. I'm about out of time for this Pomodoro session, but I think we're in better shape here by adding the UL in. So the last thing I'll do before we go to before I go to live chat, answer some questions, is I'm going to put this class down on the UL. Let's see where that gets us. Okay. Yeah, that's not bad. We can work with that. All right. Let me set my timer then for 5 minutes. And my phone is buzzing a lot. I just want to see if there's anything important. Water's being turned off on campus, but not in my building. All right. Okay. And my wife is messaging me. Also, I don't think it's an emergency. All right. I'm going to scroll up just a little bit, and there's not too much in the live chat, so I may be able to get through it all. We'll see. You never know. Sometimes I talk for 5 minutes just about one question. Let's see. Oh, Harshit says that he can watch live today because tomorrow is a school holiday. Cool, cool, that's awesome. Harshit, is there some other time of day that we could do the live stream that you'd be able to watch, or is it just going to be too much for you when school's in session? Because I'm pretty flexible. We could try to do this a different time if you want, but I totally understand if it's just too much and you can't do the live streams. Because of school, and I don't want this to detract at all from your studies. But let me know if there's something I can do to help it be, easier for you to watch if you want to. Today's a school holiday for my kids, so they didn't have to go to school today, which is why I could come in early, so I didn't have to drop them off at school. Perbelli asks what the best programming language is in 2018. I don't know if I could answer that. I think it just depends on what you have experience in and what you're trying to do. I can say I think this is a very reasonable thing to say that JavaScript is probably the most versatile programming language right now, because you can do client-side and server-side programming. There are ways to program, robots with JavaScript, VR, AR, native apps. You can use Electron to make, desktop apps. There's just a lot that you can program with JavaScript. So, is JavaScript the best? I don't really know. It's what I like to use, and you can do a lot with it. But I don't think that's a question that you can answer easily. So hopefully my answer is okay, but I know it's not really an answer to the question, but that's a good answer to that question is beyond me. Harshit asks, did you read the notes in the last PR attentively? I don't know if I'd say attentively. I looked through all the code pretty attentively, but maybe I did not read it as attentively as I could. I'll have to go back and read through more attentively, because I know there's more that I need to do. So I did read that part, that there's a lot of stuff that needs changed now. I didn't have time though before the video to change those things. Okay, so Christopher Brown, if you remember from earlier in the stream, we were talking about ways to present videos in a web page, and we were talking about YouTube embeds versus the video tag. And so Christopher said you can do different resolutions for different size devices and pixel densities with source set. However, Christopher is not aware of a way to do this with network speeds. Okay, so I guess I'm going to stick with the YouTube embeds for now, because I really like that we can take into account a user's network speed. I want to avoid two things that are a bad user experience. So on the one hand, you just put in high quality video and people without a good network connection, have a lot of buffering, it doesn't play. Or people have a good network connection and it just crushes their data, right? So I don't want that. But then the other extreme is, okay, well, let's just put in really low quality videos so we respect people's data usage, but then everybody gets this degraded user experience because they can't get the high quality videos. So I don't really see it. I think it would be difficult to find a way between those two extremes if we go with using source set with the video tag. Since it's already built in and it works with YouTube embed, we do have to live with some limited functionality and we can't customize it completely. But in exchange for that, I think we're giving the users a much better user experience. We're also giving them the option to save our video for later. So, if we go down here to the video, I can share right from here. So we have the sharing right there. We don't have to do anything extra to get that. We can save it for later, which I think is a really nice feature. And then that will also direct users to our YouTube channel for more content, and that all comes built in. So there's definitely trade-offs. The embed is not for every situation, the YouTube embed. But if you can get away with it and your client is okay with having some YouTube logos going on their page, you do get a lot of advanced functionality, basically for free. So that's what we're going to use for now. I do appreciate the suggestion though, and if we can, if there were another way to do it, I'd definitely be up for it. Okay, it looks like my timer did go off here, but let me look. I'm almost to the bottom of the live chat. All right, so we have a vote for the YouTube player. Sandbay says you look. It's a misspelling, but I'm assuming meant to say you look good. And if that's what you meant to say, then thank you. I tried to look good. I shaved this little top part of the beard, and under here, and I combed my beard. I tried. Too bad I didn't have my my presentation today. But I guess I look all right for YouTube though. Okay, so I'm going to, when I come back, I'm going to start with Ina's question. So Ina's question is, do you enjoy being a developer? And so that's what we'll start with after we do this next Pomodoro session. Let me see the time. Okay, yeah, we're definitely only going to do one more session. We might not even do a full session. So basically, since I came into work so early, I'm going to be at the point where I put in all the time I was supposed to put in today really soon. But then I also have a meeting later, and then so I have 2 meetings later, back to back. So to avoid me going over my normal time, I'm going to take a break. So after this stream, I'm going to work on the coding challenge that I was working on over the weekend. So some of you saw on my channel, I did a live stream Saturday morning. Well, it was Saturday morning Eastern time. So I'm going to go back and work on that. I may even stream that on my channel if anybody's interested. I think I came close to a solution, but it was not the best way to do it. So I might just change the whole thing, but it needs to be done before Thursday. So anyway, that's why I'm not going to do a longer stream today. So I'll kind of take a little break, work on that, and then when it's time for my meetings, I'll go to those. All right, so let me get back to what we were working on. Oh, okay. I just kind of messed this up. So do we have these little... Yeah, we have these little discs here. Text decoration. We need text decoration none here as well. Ooh, text. Is that gonna work? No, I need to put them on the LIs. No, it's list style, isn't it? Yeah. I don't know why I was saying text decoration. List style type none. There we go. Okay, so that UL needs list style type none. So we pop that UL in. Let's go up and put it in our class. Might not be a bad idea to rename this class. Let's do this. Menu list. List style type none, and that's going to get rid of that disk or that circle that comes right next to all our list items. So I don't know if you could see it on your screen, but it was showing up as white. It was hard to see, but if it happened to overlap another letter before it, then you could see it. And now we need to change this to menu list down here. I think this naming will make more sense. It'll be easier for me and anybody else working on this to tell what we're talking about. Menu list. Let's save that and verify that it did what we want. Looks like it. Awesome. So I'm going to refresh. Yeah. All right, that looks good. Now we're going to do some work in DevTools just to get the spacing looking good. So what do we want? Let's put some padding around these A tags. That'll give us a larger click area. So let's do padding. I want to do padding, let's say 0. So we want top and bottom to be 0, but then left and right to be 4 pixels. Okay. So you got 4 pixels here. And then if we go up to the LIs and we put padding 0, 4 pixels. Okay, that's too big. Gives us a gap. Yeah, I think this was the gap that we were working with before. Oh, nice. A bonus from what happened is this is now lined up vertically in a much better place here with the rest of what we have. So that's nice. Okay. I don't know. Let me know in the live chat. What do you think that this is too much space? Am I losing my mind here or what? To me, it just seems like too much space. If I can go. Like if I drop that down to 2 pixels, is that more reasonable? I kind of like that. Oh, okay, so it looks like more space is better. So it looks like you all are okay with that. Okay, I'll flip it back up. So this gives us, what is it, so like 16 pixels space. So we have 4 on our A tags and then 4 on our LIs. So that means between these we have 4, 4, 4, and 4, which is 16. Okay. All right, I'm okay with that. If you all think it looks fine, because I'm at a point now where I've looked at this for way too long. Like, I mean, I've been looking at variations of this for literally months now, because we've kind of been working on this even before we started working on the rest of the site. So I don't think I'm in a place right now where I can look at this, you know, in the right way. You know, definitely not with fresh eyes. Okay. All right, cool. So let's add these on. So we need to add it to the A tag and we need to add to the LI. So that means we're going to be in that component we made for each of those items, that app bar menu component. So we have our list LI, and then for our class name, and then our UL link. What was I thinking when I came up with these class names? I mean, I guess they make sense, but I'm just not sure why I said UL link. What do we say? Padding and 0, 4, and then we're going to do the same thing here. The reason that I'm not putting all the padding on one element is because I want 2 things. I want to have a larger click area. So if you see that the area you can click actually starts before you even hit the text. So I want that larger click area. It makes it easier to click. But then I also don't want click areas right next to each other, so you accidentally click the wrong thing. So by using half the padding we want on the LI and the other half on the A, we get both. So we have a little bit extra. So we have 4 pixels all the way around that extends further than the text to click, but then we also have 4 pixels all the way around here, which means we actually get 8 pixels, right? So 4 for this LI and 4 for this LI of space between. So you see as I run my mouse over, you can see the cursor changes. So there's an area where I'm clicking right now and nothing's happening. That's good. That's what we want. Oops. Okay. That's why I did it like that. Now I want to see if we can decrease this space, because since I did this, I added this UL, and you can see this UL comes in with all of this margin at the top. And we definitely don't need that, and we probably don't need any at the bottom either. So let's get rid of any margin for this. So we do that with margin 0. Wonderful. All right, this is what I was wanting in terms of the look for this top app bar. You know, you can't make it really slim if you're gonna have 2 rows of content, but this is about as slim as we can make it, I think, and still leave enough space for everything to be readable and clickable. All right, great. Let's add that onto that UL then in our code. So we need to jump back into our app bar and go to this menu list up at the top here, and let's add our margin 0. Okay, and the last thing that I want to do up here, I would still like maybe to see this be a little bit more slim as a button, but I don't want to nitpick right now. That's interesting. Okay, this is kind of an, let's see if it does it when the screen's larger. Okay, it doesn't. Alright, so there's going to be an odd situation where if the screen is narrow enough, it's going to drop down like that. I don't like that. I'm going to leave it alone for now. I'll leave it alone for now in the hopes that maybe we could get this, we could change this name. Or, yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's likely to happen, but I know not everybody that kind of has a say in this really likes the title being Faith and Life right here. So there's a chance that this might change. So I'm not going to try to fix this if it's going to change. Alright, so the last thing I want to do up here is make this larger. So let's see where we have... Okay, so right now it's just controlled, I believe, by this max height 3 RM. Let's see. 3.1, 3.5. Okay. Yeah, so I don't want it to be, I don't want to do the height on this. This is, it's changing the height, I believe, for more than one section. Span. Let's see what happens if I add in a height 100 pixels. Alright, that max height is still overriding header image. But I could change the max height. There we are. Alright, so with it being this large, I just want to see if we... Oh, I see. So if we do make it that large, then at some point we're going to squish all these. What just happened? That's weird. Okay. So let's go here, and then we can really see at what point I need to stop making that bigger. So let's go max height 100 pixels. So I definitely don't want it to be 100 pixels, but I thought I'd just start there. So wow, 48 is the largest I can make it. Alright, let's see how 48 looks when we make it bigger. I think I'm okay with 48. I'm okay with that for now. Let me... Oh. Now, where did that go? I think I lost it when I was moving in and out. Whoops. Huh, so that was already what we had anyway. So this was actually what we had exactly. So I guess we're keeping that. Yeah. It really only looks small compared to the height we have on this and the amount of white space we have above and below. So I don't like that. I think I just wanted to have less white space, but I mean, I suppose that I could just use a media query so that once we get down here, then it starts to get smaller. Yeah, let's try that. Let's see if we can use a media query to change the max height, and we'll make it let's try 80 pixels. Of course, if we do that, we need to also change this. Because right now we're setting this height. All right, so we need to change two places. Let's do that now before I forget. All right, so in our app bar, we should have our image, our header image, and in our header image we can, let's grab this media query and just reuse it. Now this is kind of a different way to do media queries. It's not going to look like what you're used to with regular CSS, but since this is a JavaScript object, we're going to do things differently. And I lost, there it is. So we're going to put a comma. Remember, this is JavaScript objects, so we need commas between all the items here. But then down here, we're going to say in small and down. So in this case, we don't want small and down. We want large and up. So I think that should give us what we want. We want large and up, and we want that to be max height of 80 pixels. And let's copy that and set this on the menu button. I'm not 100% sure this is the right one, but let's try it. We'll set on the menu button and we'll make the, what was it, the height? The height 70. Okay. Now we'll save that and see what happens. Alright, so it's large right now. We have that height 70. Okay, we have the media query showing up. Great. So right there, right where we wanted it, it changes. Awesome. Awesome. Right, and we're actually on, just by me kind of eyeballing that, I'm only off by a pixel or two. You can see just very slight movement. So I'm not even going to try to make that precise, because who's going to sit here other than us and go like this to see the difference? Okay, nice. That header is looking like it should look. I still think that this icon here is a little bit off. The vertical alignment is off. So I wonder how we can correct that. If I do oops, there we go. Wonderful. Okay, so for all these items I had padding bottom of 8 pixels, so I just added the same padding bottom of 8 pixels to this, and that'll work. So let's just do that now in our app bar menu item. Oops, that's not it. Did we put it in? I think we have it actually in this component. So on our SVG icon, the class name is search SVG, so we'll add it there. Search SVG. Where is it at? Like search open, search close, search input. Search SVG. There we go. Padding bottom 8 pixels. Save it. Great. All right. Cool. I'm pretty happy with that right now. This is yeah, this is probably the nicest that this app bar has looked so far. So all right. I'm happy enough with this that I would present this at my meeting. So I think I'm gonna stop messing with this now to leave time for other things. Let me check how much time I have left here. Oh, 3 minutes. Okay, let's just do a get status here. See what we've changed. Git add, and we're gonna do a yarn. Oops, yarn CM. Okay, that's gonna help us walk through this commit message. So let's do a fix and say it's gonna be adjust app bar item spacing. Whoops. ADJUST. Adjust app bar item spacing. Okay, that's pretty much what we did, right? Yeah. Okay. Alright, hopefully we pass all the linting and the tests and everything, and then I can push that to GitHub, and everything will be available. Awesome. Okay, cool. I'm going to go to the live chat now and answer all the rest of the questions. So if you have a question, please put it in the chat now. And I will do my best to get through everything. You see how I am on time? Okay, good. Yeah, so like I said, after I end this stream, I may take a little break, and then I'm going to work on another JavaScript problem and I'm going to live stream it on my channel, so not on the freeCodeCamp channel, on my channel. If anybody's interested, that's going to be, it's not React, at least not yet. It's just plain vanilla JavaScript. I mean, it's Node, so it's JavaScript on the server side. So I'm just working through a coding puzzle just with regular JavaScript. So if you're interested, come join me there on my channel about, I don't know, maybe about 15 minutes after I finish up here. Okay, I'm going to scroll up. I know I said I'd start with Ina's question. Okay, so Ina asks, do you enjoy being a developer? I do enjoy being a developer. So there are some parts of being a developer that aren't that great, but I don't think it necessarily has to do with being a developer. It's just, I don't know, work situation. So I'm trying to think if there's anything developer-wise that I don't like. Not really. I like it. I like building things. I don't even mind that much when they don't work. It's kind of, to me, like a puzzle to try to figure out where the bug is. I guess the part that I don't enjoy a lot of times is like at the very beginning of a project, trying to think about how I'm going to do the layout, more of the design side of things. That takes me a long time. So in that part, I'm not really doing a lot of coding. I'm just doing a lot of thinking and searching through other websites to just find inspiration. So I don't know. That part's kind of weird for me. If it takes a really long time, I don't like it. But if I kind of get on a roll with an idea and it starts to work, then it's really fun. But otherwise, I like it. The part of my job currently that I don't like as much is I'm not a big fan of all the meetings. I don't mind meetings if they're like video chat meetings, because then like I'm still at my desk. I can still, like look things up on my other screen if I need to. When you're at a meeting, it's kind of rude to be working on other things like in person when you're at a meeting. But a lot of times I attend meetings and there's a lot of stuff at the meetings that doesn't pertain to me at all. So that just kind of like is mind numbing sometimes. Also, sometimes it depends on who you're working with. You get a client that's has a lot of really strong opinions that aren't necessarily the best practices. That can be tough, and that's not really fun to work with a client like that. But otherwise, I do like it. Okay, I had asked Harshit earlier if there was a time I could stream that would be better, and it says no. It's 12 hours between us here. So, okay, well that's too bad, Harshit. I really appreciate you being in so many of the streams and helping out, and so I hope you do really well with your studies though, and we'll still be working on projects together. Venkat says, I'm new to the stream, so welcome. Thanks for watching. How did you get your work to let you stream? Also, why did you move from Tomato Timer to Pom-Pom? So I'll answer the second question first, because Harshit also already answered it in live chat, and he said because Pom-Pom is made by me. Yeah, so Harshit made the Pom-Pom timer, and as he says, it is a dark theme, and I love dark theme stuff. So that's why I switched. Yeah, when Harshit said, "Hey, I made this, try it out," I tried it out. I liked it. So that's why I used that. And for getting my work, sorry, for getting my work to let me stream, I just talked to my boss and said. This was before I was even streaming for freeCodeCamp. This was when I was just streaming on my own channel, and I'd get like 1 or 2 viewers. Sometimes I'd have no viewers. But I just came in one day and said I was thinking about it and I had an idea, and maybe I could stream my work, and it might be good for like maybe the computer science students to see it, and maybe they might be interested and want to come work on projects with us, and it'll help them with their portfolios, and it'll help us because we'll have more people working on our stuff. And so my boss thought, yeah, that's a good idea. And then shortly thereafter, I was invited to stream for freeCodeCamp, and my boss thought that was a really good idea because it would be a lot of publicity, free publicity for the university, and also, we have so many people looking at the sites as we're coding. It's just, you're going to have a better product like that. And so many times you all catch errors before I catch them. You make pull requests, and, the projects are a lot better because of you. So anyway, so my boss realized, right away that, this is only going to benefit us. My projects were all open source anyway, so it's not like we're letting out secrets or anything. But I'm very grateful that he lets me do this, and everybody in my department's very supportive of it. Let's see. Christopher Brown says you can still give them the option of selecting different video qualities and then loading the one they select. Yeah, that's true, Christopher. Yeah, we could have them select the video qualities. Yeah, that's an option. Let's see. Harshad. Okay, Omkar says, random question, which is best for post on Spring Boot REST, fetch or using Axios? I prefer using fetch. I haven't really had much experience with Axios, so I can't do a proper comparison between the two. But it just seems to me that, fetch is already built in. Like, why not just use fetch? Fetch to me seems really simple. Maybe Axios has more things available. I see people that use it and they're good developers, so maybe there's something to Axios that I don't know about that would make it better. But in terms of what I use, I use fetch, and I always recommend fetch. Christopher Brown says, why aren't you using a separate CSS file? We are for some components, and for other components we're not. So it's nice, for me at least, I really like being able to have the styles right here, so that there's only one file you need for this component. So the component is very reusable. So I like that. I like to do it like that when I can. Some places we're bringing in another CSS file. Oh, excuse me. And the reason we needed to do that is because we're importing some HTML from that we've pulled out of an old database, and we can't directly use this the CSS that we're putting in this JavaScript object. We can't assign that to places because we don't have access to that right here. So the only way that we could style that, the stuff that we're pulling in on the fly, is to use an external style sheet. So I guess the answer is we are using it, just not in every place. So basically, when we can get away with not using a separate CSS file, we don't use one. We put it right there in the component, for more reusability. Christopher Brown says, here's a tip. Find what white space feels good, then double it. I like that. I've never heard that, but I will have to keep that in mind. Let's see. Nazrul says, how are you? I'm okay. I was up pretty early. Had some unexpectedly prepared. I prepared for a meeting that unexpectedly wasn't happening today. It's happening tomorrow. But other than that, I'm okay. How are you doing? Christopher Brown says, why not just use margin? Isn't 2 sets of padding a bit weird? Yeah, I didn't think about that until now. It is kind of weird. I could have just used the margin. Yeah, you're right. I guess in my mind, the way I was thinking about it, the way I was visualizing it, was visualizing these 2 separate components and how much padding they would have. So when I went to write what it would be, I just immediately wrote it like that. But you're right, it would have been the same if I would have just put margin and padding on the A tag. So yeah, you're right. Either way, it's the same. You get the same effect, but in this case, we're adding, and it's the same amount of lines of code too, I suppose. But yeah, I guess it might be a bit weird to do it like that. Software Dev said, I would match the logo with the menu and make the social icon smaller on top. It says, React looks neat though. I've never used it before in a project. Okay, cool. Thanks for the advice there. Let me check it out. So I make the logo. I'm not exactly sure what you mean matching the logo with a menu, but definitely make the social icon smaller on the top. We might go smaller. I did decrease the size a little bit from what they were originally. I might be able to go smaller. I'll see. I mean, maybe they just look... My screen makes everything looks a little smaller on my screen than it seems like it looks on when I'm presenting. So I'll see how these look when I'm presenting, and maybe I can make them smaller. Because I really don't want to emphasize these too much. I'd rather have users click one of these buttons than one of these buttons. So I may end up making those smaller. But I'm glad you said that, because I wasn't sure if it would be too small. Nikki says, how about the search bar replaces the links when open? That could happen. Yeah, we could do that. Oh, cool. Yeah, that's not going to be something that I try to get done like today, but that would actually work, and then it wouldn't matter how many items we have in here. We still wouldn't have to worry about it, because anytime that's open, they wouldn't even be visible. Yeah, I like that idea. What do y'all think about that? Just when this is open, all this just goes away, and this covers everything. Okay, Joey says maybe use faith and life with an ampersand instead of an and. Yeah, that would actually cut it down a little bit. I'll have to talk. It's not going to be my call. Ultimately, my boss is going to have to make that decision. But maybe I'll mention it to my boss and see what he thinks. Let's see, Jimogs. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Is it Jim Alex Gameplay? Alright, well anyway, it says you can make a bar underneath the menu in order to fix that problem. A bar? I'm not sure. Are you talking about this problem where these stack on top of each other? Okay, so Niki's saying the same behavior that the search does on firebase.google.com. All right, let's check it out. Oh, wow. Yeah, that takes up all the space. Interesting. Okay. Let me know what you all think about that. I kind of like that. See what happens when you type. Okay, so it makes suggestions too. Okay, cool. Christopher Brown says, you should try taking the logo and cropping it so that the text can be HTML and CSS. It says and look a lot nicer. I'm pretty limited in what I can do to the logo, so I don't know. I mean, assuming that I could find this exact font, which I have no idea what font this is. I mean, maybe I could do it, but I don't know, the way it works. Like, the logo is pretty much set. I can't change the logo. I put the logo in there, so I'm not sure if I'd be able to do that or not. Let's see. Christopher also says the social media should probably be at the bottom of the page. Having it at the top is a bit odd, and removing the clutter would benefit the overall design of the page. Yeah, I could see. I could ask my boss about this. I don't even remember why we initially decided to put these up here. So yeah, that's definitely an option. So I'll see what my boss says. If he wants them up there, obviously I'm going to leave them up there. But yeah, you're right. We don't need them up there. We could certainly put them in the footer. Alright, so Jim Alex Gameplay says when the on-click event happens on that lens, a bar should pop out underneath the menu. More stylish and fixes your problem. So the on-click event. Oh, okay, so you're saying that the search should pop out underneath instead of scooting everything over. Okay. Yeah, that's another option. I have to think about that. Alright, Harsh is asking if I can check out the messaging page for javascript.af. I can. I'll take a look at that after the stream. Christopher Brown says, your page is slow because you did the background attachment fixed. Currently, this has terrible performance, so it'd be better to use separate div with a background and set the position to fixed. Okay, cool. Yeah, actually, so if I assume that you're loading this then on with ngrok. So is it slow on your machine? Because I haven't noticed that it's slow on any of my machines. Usually when I've used background position fixed, as long as I only use it on one element, I don't see any performance decrease. If I use it on a lot of elements on one page, then I do see it. But I mean, the machine that I'm on right now is probably better than what most users will have. So if you are actually seeing a performance decrease, then yeah, then maybe I need to do it a different way. Alright, Nikki said the girl's head gets cropped, have DevTools at the bottom. Okay, Nikki, so I'm assuming then like your window is pretty short then, and so let's do this. Yeah, with things like that, I'm not super worried about this happening on a screen like this, because no one has a screen like this. Like, they'd have to shape their window differently for that to happen. So, I mean, if this happened on a normal screen size, I'd be more worried about it. I'll have to check. Yeah, you know what? It is even covering it up here. This still isn't a normal screen size, but yeah, maybe I will need to drop this down a bit. I haven't really worried about it because I wasn't sure if I would keep this image or not. But we could probably do like background position Y, drop it down a little bit, and then that would probably work for most screen sizes. Yeah. Let's see. My colleague Brian just reminded me in the live chat that there's a 3 p.m. meeting today. Bring your laptop. I will be there. Sambe says has a problem with a WAMP server. Ask if we know something about it. I don't know anything about WAMP servers. If anybody in the live chat does, please let Sambe know, and maybe you can help him out. Nikki says, I used Axios recently. It has a lot of nice things built in, and it has better support without a polyfill for fetch, which Create React app has by default. Okay. All right, cool. So Nikki's saying Axios does have some other stuff built in, which I kind of figured that would be the case. So I guess it's just, your personal preference or what you have to do. A lot of times I just do basic things with fetch. Maybe if you're doing something more advanced, Axios might be the way to go. Harshit says, one big drawback I found using fetch is you can't add event listener to file upload progress. Okay. That's interesting. So that actually is kind of a big deal if you need that functionality. Harshit says, then you have to use XHR, and Axios is built with XHR, so it can easily do that. Okay, cool. Harrison says, 34-year-old father of two trying to transition to web dev, currently at Costco. Do you have any tips? My tips would be, well, I mean, first of all, time's going to be an issue for sure because you're already working, you have kids. I'm 32 right now, father of four, so I understand the time's going to be an issue. But I would say whenever you do have time, work on projects, work on tutorials. Your best thing that you can do to get a job in web dev is to have a good portfolio, to actually work on projects, have them on GitHub, have a nice portfolio site. Because that's going to be the number one thing that employers look for is, can you do the job? And you prove that by your projects that you've done. So even if it's a side project, do that. If you can get somebody to pay you to do work, do that too. That's a great way to learn. I mean, when I was freelancing, I used to take a lot of jobs, sometimes jobs that they didn't even pay that much, but it was using something that I wanted to learn more about. And so you take it, you learn it, while you're creating something, and you make a little money. And that makes it kind of easier when you have a family to justify spending that time away from your family, because you are at least providing for them in some way. And in cases like that, I just kind of saw myself as like, I'm doing a paid internship right now. I'm not making as much as I want to, but I'm learning. So I would consider myself in that position, and mentally it just helped me to work through that. So I would say try to do a little bit every day. So if you can, go for a half hour or an hour of coding. A little bit every day is good. You know, try to get in like coding podcasts when you're in the car, or, you know, if, I don't know, when you're working out, watch like a coding video. I used to hold my kids, and, you know, at nighttime they wouldn't sleep, and I'd hold them and I'd rock them while I was watching something. So you can watch tutorial videos like that. Yeah, so just try to find those little ways. But if you do a little every day, that's much better than, you know, just saying like, okay, every Saturday I'm going to spend, you know, 6 hours doing it. Because, you know, by the time you get back around to the next Saturday, you will have forgot a lot of what you had just learned. So hopefully that those tips will help you. I'm sure there's a lot of other, you know, good advice out there, but that's what comes to mind, you know, right away. And certainly, if you can, come back to the live chat. Ask any questions that you have. You know, I'd be happy to help. And there are a lot of people that watch the chat that are, you know, more advanced than me that can give you some great answers. Hey, Angel's here. How's it going? J. Frederick says, what about moving the social icons to a position fixed div on the side? I've thought about doing that. I don't really like to do the div on the side. The div on the side annoys me if it ends up blocking some element on the page. And sometimes that happens. Now, obviously, if we were to do the div on the side, we would do what we could to make sure that that never happens. But if I was going to move the social icons somewhere, I guess I would prefer to just move them down to the footer. Okay, so Jay Frederick says the nav section is a bit too crowded. Okay. Yeah, maybe it is getting too crowded. Maybe we should just pull this stuff out. I mean, maybe we could do a whole row right here and just have one single row with this access FUS, you know, kind of button here, you know, in its place here, and to just move everything up to be where these social icons were. You know, we could try. Like I said, I have to talk to my boss before I make a change like that. But we would definitely be able to get away with a much thinner header, which I like. I always like to have the headers as thin as possible. Software Dev says the menu and search box should be bigger. Joey says the font looks a lot like Spectral. Okay, so I guess we're talking about this font. Joey says, but then you would also have to load that extra font just for those few characters. Loading the logo might be better for performance. You know what? I didn't think about that, but you're right. Yeah, I would rather not have to load an extra font just for that little piece. God So Love 24 says, yeah, I agree with putting the social media icons at the bottom, or have the search bar overlap the other text while it's selected. Okay, so move the social media icons and then potentially have the search bar just overlap instead of pushing everything out of the way. Okay. Okay, so Christopher said it is actually slow on a Samsung Chromebook Plus. Okay. Okay, Harsh is saying it's due to ngrok. Yeah, that is a good thing to keep in mind. So we got to keep in mind that this is development build. Nothing is minified. Nothing. No images have even been optimized at all yet. So in production, the images would all be optimized and compressed. we would be running a lot faster because we'd be in production build instead of dev mode. And instead of running things off of my computer through ngrok, the servers are going to be running on much more speedy servers. And yeah, I think I'm still open, and that's definitely something that I'm gonna test, because I don't want bad performance through that. But like I said, I've used this on a lot of sites, and I've never seen bad performance unless I've used it more than once on a page. But I think that's something that we should definitely test before we launch on old devices, on different machines and things, and just see, like, is this something that we definitely shouldn't do? Let's see. Ishtmeet says, why are you using Next.js when you could do server-side rendering using pure React and Express and Node? Yeah, well, there's two answers to that question. One, Next also does come built in with some other stuff that's nice to have. So although we are doing a lot of custom routing with it, Next Router is nice. That's not really a big deal. We could have just used React Router if we were using like Create React App or something. The other answer is I didn't have enough time to learn how to do that. I've used Next before. I'm familiar with it, and I know it could do what we wanted. But if I would have had to have taken the time to learn how to do server-side rendering properly with React, I never could have made this as a deadline. So the deadline for this was supposed to be the end of this month. Now it's gotten moved back, not because we weren't ready, but just for other reasons that had nothing to do with the coding. So if it's going to get moved back a lot, then we certainly would have had time. But based on the time frame that I had for this site, I had to save time where I could save time. And Next is a nice way to do that, do server-side rendering without really having to learn a lot about it. It just works. I would definitely like to know how to do it without having to use Next, because sometimes I think Next is overkill for some little things that I'm doing that I'd like to be server-side rendered. So that's going to be something I'd like to learn how to do at some point. But right now there's too much work to be done. Michael says, since you're going to be showing this, you might want to delete 2 of the footer columns. 3 makes it super long on mobile. Yeah, you're right. I have 3 columns here. Maybe I should just put in the actual content that will be here. That won't be too hard to do. So we'll see. Depending on how much time I have, I'll do that. I guess I don't really need to scroll all the way down, but that's actually a good thing to do. Maybe I'll cut down the text significantly, and then that way, if I don't have time to put the real content here, then it will look nicer. So I like that idea, Michael. Let's see. All right, Harrison said, thanks. Yeah, I get a 4 a.m. get up at 4 a.m. to code. Okay, cool. So Harrison was the one that was talking about changing, careers into web dev. Yes. Yeah, I find myself waking up earlier and earlier just to have a little bit of time to like do a workout. Sometimes I code, and so yeah, I understand that. Oh, Harshit's gonna leave. Hey, see you, Harshit. I know it's starting to get late there. It's a Tuesday already started. All right. Well, thanks for coming to the live chat. I really appreciate it. Christopher said, you should try aligning the mission summary div to the left and maybe confine it to the width of the video below it. Mission summary div. Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this yet. I kind of want to mess around with font sizes to make this bigger. So it's supposed to be a break, a clear break between this section and this section. So I like to keep it full width. Now, keeping it full width, having white space here, and just cutting it down so that it does only take up half the space, I'm definitely open to that. That might look good. So maybe I'll try that. Michael says, since Access FUS is for faculty, why not have it in the drop down? I thought this landing page was for prospective students. It is. It is for sure. I have no idea why I'm being asked to put this up here, to be honest with you. I don't think it should be there. I think we should have a donate button there, because that's going to be the only other call to action we really want. Primarily, we want students to apply or do one of these things. And then secondarily, this site is for donors to see what we're doing here and hopefully donate. So I agree. I do not think this should be there, but it's not my call. So maybe I'll bring it up again with my boss and see why, but you're entirely right. There's yeah. There's always been this weird thing, since even before I got here, there's been this weird thing where it's different departments have tried to get different content on the site that has nothing to do with prospective students, and my boss has tried to keep this site more for prospective students, but I don't know, it's just been kind of like a back and forth. You know, like sometimes, and I'm sure it's like this in other organizations, if somebody high enough up with enough authority says do this, sometimes you just do it. You have to do it. So sometimes that happened, and you end up with just a lot of stuff. So I'm really trying to, right off the bat, make this as clean and minimal as possible, knowing that there's going to be a big push for people to want to get their content on the homepage really high up. So this is one of those cases where we've already had that happen. Yeah. So for now, this is here. Harshit says, will you use Zeit now with Cloudflare for deployment? Then deployment will take 10 minutes. I guess it takes you 4 hours last time in DigitalOcean. And I remind you to back up WordPress. Okay, I did back up WordPress, and I installed, I have right now running like weekly backups. So I did get that up and running. And yeah, I do want to start to look into different deployment options, Harshit, because you're right. It did take a while to set up all the droplets before. So yeah, I'm definitely open to deployment options. It just needs to be reliable. I don't want there to be any downtime for the users whenever I need to update things. And I want it to be able to handle all the users that we're getting. Satchithra, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, but Satchithra says, highly appreciate what you're doing. Help me to learn a lot of new things. Oh, well, thank you for saying that. Thanks for watching. I'm really glad that you're able to learn some things. Okay, Harshit saying no downtime in Zeit. You mean using, oh yeah, you did say now. Okay. Yeah, I have used Now before, but it's been wow. I think the last time I used Now to deploy a site was in the summer of 2017. So it's been a long time. So I want to read up on it more. I'm sure there's a lot more features. It says you can scale and load balance a single command. Okay, cool. All right, Arshad, I'm going to read more up on it. This week's going to be crazy, and I'm just going to be getting ready for my interview on Thursday and all my presentations, so I'm probably not going to be able to look up anything. I'm just going to be making small changes based on the audience for this site. Next week, I'm hoping, depending on how these go, I may have even more presentations. I'm not the one scheduling these. My bosses are scheduling them for me. So hopefully I'll be almost done with presentations and I can finally get back to like the normal work that we've been doing. And at that point, I really would like to look into deployment options. And if I can get like a real date for when this needs to launch, that'll also make a difference, because then it may or may not be that important to look into deployment. Nikki says, adding a subtle shadow to white text on a bright background makes it more readable. It also makes it pop. White text on a black background. Yeah, I do need to work on this text a bit. So maybe I'll try that. I usually try to stay away from the shadows, like font shadows, but I just kind of don't like the look of it. But I do need to do something to make it readable. Okay, Harshad, I won't forget to check the Twitter. I got Twitter open right now on my other screen, so I won't forget to check. So Nikki says, just adding a text shadow, and actually put the text shadow in here. All right, let's try this right now and see what the difference is. I'll just try it out right here in DevTools. I'm not seeing a difference right now, but that's probably because whatever is happening is blending into the shadow. And actually I do. So this text shadow actually matches the shadow I have, the overlay I have over top of this image exactly. So it's both 0.2. I believe it's both 0.2. So that's why it's not doing anything. But if I lighten the background but keep the shadow on the text, maybe that would work better. Joey says you could also try adding a slightly more tinted box behind the text and buttons. Yeah, I could do that. I just, style-wise, I just don't like how it looks when I do that, but I may have to. It entirely depends on what image we use and what are the colors in that image. So that's going to be... I'm kind of like shying away from doing too much because I'm not even sure this will be the image. No one's seen this except for you all and me. No one else in my department has seen this, so I don't know if they're going to like it or not. So I kind of like don't want to try to make this text, do anything with this text really, until I know for sure what's going to be the image we go with. It says, now that you have to do a presentation, everyone's bringing up site redesign ideas. We've been working on this more weeks. Yeah. Today was the day that like you all were just like, hey, let's change this, let's change this, let's change this. I did wonder about that. I'm kind of thinking like, we've had the same thing up here for weeks and weeks and no one said anything. And now today all of a sudden it's like, yeah, let's get rid of all this stuff. I'm messing around now, but I really appreciate all that stuff. Like, even if you make a suggestion and I don't end up going with it, I still appreciate it, and it still may change my design decisions down the road on other sites or other parts of the site. So, and sometimes it has nothing to do with whether or not your idea was a good idea. It's other things. It's like, I know that if I do that, this other person that I work with is not going to like it. So, like, there's... sometimes decisions, for better or for worse, have to be made like that. I can't always just say, like, what's going to be best for the design, for the user, or whatever. So, yeah, so please, keep the suggestions coming. that's how sites get better. You know, if I do something and it's ugly, just tell me it's ugly. You know, I mean, you could choose to be nice about it if you want, which would be cool. But even if you're not, I'm okay with that. So yeah, and like I said, may or may not include it, and that's not a reflection at all on you or your ideas. There's just a lot of other factors that need to go into what I work on and when I work on it. Anyway, so I think we're going to wrap things up soon. There's a few more messages that just came in on live chat, so I'm going to go through those, and then I'm going to take a little break here, and we'll see. Wow, I may not even have time to do that second stream like I was going to do, because it's already almost 2. We'll see. Yeah, I don't know if I'll have time to do it or not. You'll get a notification, though, if you're subscribed to my channel. Let's see. Nikki says, here's a thread of awesome UI details. Oh, cool. Thanks, Nikki. Biff Baff says, do you use color pattern sites for designing? Sometimes I look at those sites. For sites that I make for the university, I have to stick with our color palette for the university. So I have very little leeway in deviating from that color palette. But for sites that I'm doing on my own, or like a lot of times clients, businesses already have a certain color palette, but if I do have freedom, I do try to go on sites and just get ideas for different color palettes and things. That's one of the things that takes me forever, like to pick colors. But I mean, it's cool. It's kind of nice to see the combinations, but right now I'm usually like, I usually don't have a say in what colors get used. Let's see. All right, Nikki, I'm checking out that UI details page right now. This is really cool. I like this. Yeah, there's a lot here. It's going to take me a while to get through it all, but this looks awesome. Okay, cool. All right, a couple more messages in here. Christopher Brown says, have you taken design classes? No, I've taken like no classes on any, like no university classes on any of this. So it's all been, when I was freelancing, I learned what I needed to learn to get the job done. I have done some like Udacity courses, so done freeCodeCamp things, but yeah, but design wise, very little design stuff. I'm definitely would say I'm a developer. I have to do design here because there's not really a web designer, here at the university. So I try to use material design and fall back on that as much as possible, because I know I'm lacking in, in that design knowledge. But yeah, so no formal design classes. Let's see. Chris says, looks great. So looks great work so far. What's your educational background? Oh, well, thanks. I'm glad you like it. The educational background is I have a bachelor's degree in business administration with a specialization in banking, finance, and economics. Other than that, I took some courses in getting a master's in theology, and I never finished that master's. And then pretty much all of my learning for becoming a web developer has been on my own, almost entirely through free resources. The only time I paid, I think I bought like maybe some Udemy courses that were on sale. When they have that sale and you get a course for like $10. I think I did some of those years ago, but I did do the React nano degree from Udacity. But that's it. I did Code Academy courses, free CodeCamp stuff. Trying to think. I've tried out a lot of other things, but those are the main ones that I kind of stuck with and did the most work with those. Like online YouTube videos, books. So usually not like paper copies of books. I like the online books like the You Don't Know JS series or Eloquent JavaScript. They're available online. All right. Cool. I've gotten through everything in the chat now, and yeah, I had a good time. It was really interesting to hear all the opinions on what we're doing, and I think what we have now definitely looks better than what we had starting out, and we got a lot of good ideas to make it even better. So some of those ideas we might be using them. It just kind of depends on the feedback I get from my boss, and yeah, and the feedback I get from these presentations. All right, well, I will be back tomorrow, I think. I got to double check and make sure what time my presentation is. So I'm not exactly sure what time I can stream tomorrow, but I think I will have some time at some point tomorrow to stream, hopefully. And until then, have a great day.